Hey there, and welcome back to Touch Base. Today we offer you the last piece of my conversation with the Daves on community. If you remember the context of John Donne's quote, "No man is an island," the whole conversation revolves around us being interconnected in all ways. We hope that as you continue to listen to the podcast, that you are beginning to get a sense of what real community is and the community that we desire within this company and within all of the communities that we get a chance to impact. Thank you for listening. Here's part 3. When it comes to working through conflict and continuing to build that teamwork community, give us some advice and some insights into how we can resolve conflict well, and at the same time make certain that even as we are holding one another accountable, growing together and trying to accomplish new things, trying to grow in great and abundant ways. Talk us through how we wrestle with conflict and because everybody wants to like the people they work with, and yet sometimes, you mentioned it a moment ago, we don't always like the people we work with. And so how do we do this?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is always the trickiest thing. I mean, it's tricky inside your own family, and I was blessed to have 5 children, and that probably gave me the best training of leadership than any other job I've ever had, because you quickly realize your 5 children, who should be pretty similar, they have the same environment, same parents, are extremely different when it comes to what motivates them, what's their passion, how they go about their day. And so you have to learn to adapt and read people and approach them, try to meet them where they are.
Yeah.
And I would encourage everyone to really approach their relationships. And at the end of the day, it's really about building a relationship with your coworkers. And once you have established that relationship, you can have meaningful conversations with people in just a few words. I think we all need to understand at all levels, feedback is a tremendous gift.
Sure.
I'm going to give you a funny story on feedback. When I was asked back in my telecom days, I was in a corporate office, and they asked me to come to Lubbock, Texas. I had no idea where Lubbock, Texas was. I was a Midwest guy. I was in St. Louis, and I was being asked to move to Lubbock, Texas. So I came here. Love it, by the way. Not a better place in the world, in my opinion, to raise a family. But I got here, and we actually lived outside the city limits, so we were on well water. Well, I was headed back to my first quarterly review at the corporate office, and I don't know if you all know this, but our well water out here is pretty hard, and it turns white T-shirts not so white, even if you try, right? So, I was going through my T-shirts that I was going to wear, and I picked out my best 3 or 4. And I went, and I actually met a group of colleagues the night before the meetings, and we were sitting there having a drink, and one of the guys who I didn't know that well, and I thought he was kind of cocky, he says to me, he said, "Did you just get off?" And I'm like, "What? Did you just get off Steak and Shake? Your collar's yellow there, or your T-shirt's yellow there." And I thought to myself, you can insert the word. And I was just kind of stewing about it the rest of the dinner. But as I was driving home, I'm like, he's right. He's absolutely right. So I stopped by Walmart and picked up new T-shirts for the meetings. And I was like, okay, that was good. The story continues further, because as I'm flying back to Lubbock, there's one thing I'm not good at, is laundry. And how am I going to tell my wife, hey, my T-shirts aren't good enough anymore? I'm like, I'm going to switch to black T-shirts because they don't discolor in the water. Well,
so that's why you wear black T-shirts.
That's why I wear black T-shirts. Fast forward.
For those of you who can't see us, you're wearing one right now.
I am, and you are too.
And I am too. Yeah.
So fast forward that 5 years after that event, I've been nominated by someone to join a group called the Texas Lyceum. Mm-hmm. It's a group of 96 individuals across the state of Texas from all different parts of Texas that you meet quarterly and talk about leadership things. By design, it's half Republican, half Democrat, half female, half male, half for-profit, half non-profit. And
Wow.
you have really meaningful discussions
Yeah.
because you have mutual respect. So you can actually get to a full discussion versus name calling. Super tremendous group. There's only 4 slots a year open for that. You got 4 outgoing and 4 incoming, roughly. And I was vying for one of these spots with about 50 people. And one of my friends was on the committee, and she said, ironically, when your name came up, a lot of people were like, who is that? I don't know if I met him. And somebody would say, he's the guy with the black T-shirt. Oh, yeah, he's a great guy. So literally that's how I got into this group, was it was a recognizable trait that they could hone into. So it's just, you never know what feedback's going to bring you, and just take it. Don't take it personally. Mm-hmm. Think about it and say, okay, however they delivered that message might have been incorrect. Don't focus on that. Focus on the message and what can I do to change that.
As people within our organization, words like how do you work through with our values? Well, grace. Think Christ. Grace jumps to mind for me right away. Take a great, try to use grace as it relates to not only what you're saying to other people, but as you're listening to them, listen to what they're saying. And if you listen for it and you find those kernels of integrity, kernels of messaging, and you can then turn and then change, constant never-ending improvement, change, be a little better today than you were yesterday. What you'll find is those little things kind of add up in a very short period of time.
Yeah, let's also tackle this from just a personal perspective as well. I mean, you're talking about feedback and how we kind of work together, but we are bringing our whole selves into work. And we are bringing all of our baggage. We are bringing the fights maybe we had at home before we came here. We're bringing maybe financial struggles. We're bringing, we've talked about COVID. We've talked about the craziness that went down with the snowstorms. To talk about that as well when it comes to like managing conflict, because you really get kind of that iceberg mentality where it's like we get the tip and kind of understand a little bit about sometimes the people that we're working with, but below the surface is this like massive amount of a person who's coming in. And so when it comes to just receiving the whole person and the struggles or sufferings that they may be going through, how do we do that in a good way as well on our properties here at the corporate or anywhere else?
I mean, I think another word that kind of fits into our values is empathy. Like you can't sit there and look, we all have our filters. And if our filter detects something isn't right, and we interpret that through our filter as something's wrong with that person, or that person doesn't fit, or whatever it is, if we open that up a little bit and we say, no, I wonder what's going on here. You ask that second question. Mm-hmm. How was your day yesterday? And then fine, and you can tell right away it wasn't fine. No, really, tell me what's going on. What'll happen is your relationship will grow tremendously by being interested in the other person. Too many times, all of us are sitting there and we're like, I'm guilty of this all the time. I'm typing an email and talking to somebody, or I'm looking at my computer screen while I'm talking to somebody. It means like actually stopping and looking and going, okay, let's talk about this.
It's true. Like we have so many people who are walking into our organization and coming from all these different backgrounds where something's maybe a little off or whatever it is, and that asking the second question that says, I'm going to look away from the screen, like you're talking about a minute ago. I'm going to look away from whatever I'm doing, and I'm just going to be a person with this person. And I think that goes tremendously, not just into how we manage conflict and how we make certain that we are together in what we're doing. It also moves into how we engage residents and those types of things. When you're looking at the person across from you, you're going, something is a little bit off. And you ask that second question. Let's take that a little bit further and kind of transition a little bit more into just being aware of what's going on in the surrounding communities, because we're not creating siloed properties. We're not trying to be a corporate office that's siloed off to itself. Like, we want to care for Lubbock. We want to care for Dallas-Fort Worth. We want to care for Houston, and then really anywhere else we can be a part of this. When it comes to being a part of the community and offering community, talk about some of the things that we have done as a community that you would like to see us do. Just give us a little bit of a sense of your heart for the surrounding communities in these areas.
Certainly probably our experiences are more here with Lubbock, but I know DFW every Christmas they do, in lieu of time off or what have you, they'll go and dedicate time to a charity. And being involved in a lot of charities myself, I know that oftentimes people just think they want money. In reality, probably the bigger thing they need is participation. Certainly they need money as well, but they're really, really grateful for participation. So anything that we can do as an organization to help support people that want to get involved with time, that's something we should consider as an organization. Because at the end of the day, it is all about our overarching communities, because if they're healthier and they're better, our business will be better.
Sure.
So at a selfish level, that's why you do it. But what you'll find is you do it because it's a great satisfaction for you as a human being. It makes you feel more connected to your world. It gives you more purpose to do your normal day in and day out duties because you know you're part of something bigger.
An organization that I'm a part of is called Literacy Lubbock. We help people who can't read, which is a staggering number of people in Lubbock, Texas, measured in the thousands, and that's statewide, nationwide. But I get to see it in a microcosm of Lubbock, Texas, who live in our country, who do not have the ability to read. Some of it's English as a second language, but it's a lot about reading. One of the things that they do is they go and they have a group that'll go and read stories to kids at a library on every Wednesday at noon. And they were missing volunteers. And so I took it to our accounting department, just kind of in passing. I was like, hey, anybody interested in going and reading to kids at a library at lunchtime? And I was just blew me away. Everybody was like, yeah, that's something, you just did the ask. I had no expectation. But everybody's like, yeah, well, like fast forward a month later, not only are they going in teams to read to kids, but they're making cookies and crafts with those kids, which was something that nobody thought about. But they took it upon themselves because they were simply asked. It was like you opened a door for them.
I want to let's end here because I think this is a big piece of this, and kind of coming back to the human touch piece when it comes to who we are and how we build community. I simply want to give you kind of the floor here at the very end with this very last question, an opportunity to encourage our people. I mean, just to encourage them, just as people, and whatever you'd like to just, I don't know, impart some encouragement. What would you like to tell them?
Well, I probably want to end with what Dave started with, and that was a big thank you to our folks that are out there doing the hard lifting each and every day. This has not been a normal year. Yeah. From the macro stuff that hit us, but we were also in the middle of some very hard lifting with product launches at the same time that in retrospect, would you have done it during a pandemic? No, but we were already midstream, so there wasn't anything we could do to change course there. But we wouldn't have attempted what we're doing if we didn't have complete and utter confidence in our teams that are out there on property. We would not have launched NewCo. And you've got Quext version of NewCo coming out in early summer that's going to be materially different because we've taken all of the learnings that we've garnered over the last 2 years, and we're going to come out with a product that everyone's going to be whoa, and we're going to be proud of. We know it was an effort on site to live through NewCo. I'm hoping it's better than it was in early 19, and I know it is, but we still are going to change that materially. But thank you for the teams that are getting us through the change, helping us learn, helping us to iterate, and being flexible and understanding that we're working towards something bigger than today and bigger than the struggles of today. And one day we're all going to sit back, and Dave and I will be the organizers of this party. We're gonna have something to really celebrate because we're going to change the industry. Yeah. We literally are going to change the industry.
Yeah. What encouragement would you offer, Dave M?
Yeah, I think starting off with gratitude is always well, I say that both from a standpoint of my true gratitude towards everybody and the hard work that they do and the amazing effort that they, and the things that people accomplish. We do need to celebrate more, and we will celebrate more as we move forward. I think the other thing for me is I look at this, and we're doing this podcast at a time when, it wasn't that long ago. You can measure it, 7-8 years ago, where I knew everybody's name. I was out on property every week and doing those things, and we've grown to a size where that's not possible anymore. And there's some people who are like, man, that stinks. I wish we could get together more often and do those things. And I feel the same way. I wish I could have those kind of same personal relationships with every one of our folks out there. I just want, I am excited about what we've done and the growth that we've had, and this is just kind of the path that we're going to take forward. We will do some things. You're going to see Dave and I get up and have these kind of open forums where people can get on a Zoom or something and ask us questions and engage us. We have to figure out a way to do it to scale with our size, and that's only going to get more challenging as we grow, but we're going to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
At the same time, to echo what Dave said, we can come up with the best ideas in the world. And a lot of the best ideas that we've come up with have been from people listening to this, who, if they didn't have the courage to get up and raise their hand and say, okay, I got a problem here, or have you thought about this? That's community. Sharing is community. Mm-hmm. And as people are listening to this and they're hearing things, and there's things that either, the ideas, new ideas, or things that, man, I'm struggling with, whether you can get, whether we're going to try to provide forums for those questions to be asked, but ask your peers around you, ask your manager, ask your area manager or your VP or anybody that you can talk to. Hey, what do you think about this? Yeah. Because what I think you're going to find is there's probably other people out there who feel just like you do. And so let's not just ignore those. Let's get a conversation around those. Because if we can overcome those, that's going to be one of those little steps we've been talking about. Yeah. That we can take to the next step and to the next step.
Yeah, and I love that, because I think that's a great way for us to kind of finish up here, because we're talking about community, and it's always about taking steps forward together as a community. And part of what's going to happen is at every single level, and you guys have talked about this throughout, we want to hear from you. We want you to be having conversations about our growth, but we also want you to be having conversations about how you care for each other. We want you to have that conversation. We want you to ask the second question. I'm totally going to steal that, by the way. So I think kind of the way we'll wrap up here is in one of our guys that we've brought on to help us with these podcasts is a guy named Caleb, and Caleb will make certain that my email is up and available for you to ask us questions and to bring us things you would like us to discuss, more things you'd like to hear about. And so if you'd like to hear more about the company, the vision, the direction, product stuff, all those types of things, we want to answer those questions because I know you guys want transparency and you want to honor the curiosity of whatever is happening at, pick a level of the company and those types of things. You can email those questions to me, and like I said, we'll put that on the screen, and that will be available in the link. Dave Marcinkowski and Dave Gillis, partner and CEO. I just want to thank you both so much for joining us, for having this conversation, for being open and willing to talk about hard stuff, and at the same time to really do what you can across and in a scalable way, encourage our people and really push community. And so thank you so much for joining us. I'll give you one last thought. If you want to say anything else, anything you want to jump in with?
Good. This was great. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh and Caleb, for doing this and also getting our newsletter revived and back out there. That's very important for us to, as Dave had said earlier, we really want to start to celebrate the little things and victories that we have each and every day. So we appreciate you guys' efforts to help us do that.
Well, the best thing is, and again, I'll plug the newsletter, not for any other reason except, man, when you see these stories and you hear the great things that they're doing, that's what builds the company culture is what you guys are doing. And so thank you again for joining us. We will have another podcast out as soon and as quickly as we can get to you. Thank you guys for joining us.